Hello and welcome to the map reveal video for a new balloon race map. Yes, indeed, I was able to complete this map before Siege of Ascension Peak from Paladins. And now here it is both as an homage to the original and as a learning experience for other balloon race maps. So, since this map takes heavily after the original, I think it is best to do a comparative comparison for some elements. But for now, let's start at the beginning. With the ships. The ships are redesigned from scratch, and thanks to the Spot Lord, now also feature a couple new nifty features. Firstly, the ships are slightly bit longer and thinner. Whilst the original has a staircase in the cabin of the deck, the cabin here houses a full med cabinet instead. This is one of the features to counter ship spam from Demonites in the water. It's also up on the main deck for another reason, which I will be divulging into shortly. There are now slopes in the middle of the ship to allow motion between floors. There is also a door at the back to allow snipers better sniping opportunity without relying on a tiny window at the back of the cabin at the top. This door here is also for the engineers. One of the bigger features which the Spot Lord helped me with is allowing engineers to build on the ships again. You can build almost anywhere on the ship. Straight at the back door? Yes. Near the steering wheel? Yes. If you are a good sentry jumper, then even on the balloon itself. The Spot Lord also provided a fix to engineer dispenser bug. Without it, the dispensers were unable to heal the player once the ship was in motion and the dispenser on it. The reason why engineers can build at all on the ships is all in part thanks to the magic of using Funk tank trains instead of Funk track trains. Part of enabling engineers to build was also not using Trigger Hurt for the enemy players on one of the team's ships, but instead Trigger Ignite instead. This is because Trigger Hurt also prevents buildings from being placed. I think it was done to stop players from building in zones they weren't meant to. The reason why the med cabinet is now on the upper deck is to prevent enemies from completely turtling downstairs. The ladder on the side of the ship now kinda works more like an actual ladder, so you can't just instantly get on the ship, do damage and jump off. You need to take damage for your effort. The ships themselves now have 3 teleport positions: the steering wheel, the cabin and the brig. The green block on the paintings show you which teleport location you're stepping into. This seems to be everything about the ships. Oh yeah, the windows require 10 times the damage from the original map. So the next part was the hangars. The hangars got rethought in a couple of major ways. The teams are now separated via a floor complex rather than a wall that just disappears at the start. Floor 1 and floor 4 also have doors to allow teams immediate access to the other side after setup finishes. The floor complex here is intended to make the starting fight a bit less annoying than just pyros rushing onto your ship to backburn everyone. Spawns now have 2 floors. The ground floor with access to the ship, as well as 4th floor access to allow snipers and other classes to ride the balloon on top straight out of the spawn. The spawns are now larger in general and can house a 32-player server. There isn't a beach on the outside of the spawn like the original, mostly to prevent snipers hanging out there, though there is still a rim that they can use. And then there's of course the insides of the hangars themselves. The layout of the map. The layout of the map follows the 2009 original somewhat closely. The first point is an island, just like in the original. The second point takes place where in the original there would be teleporters and rocks. The third point is on the other side of the mountain, and the fourth point is inside the mountain on the way back, just before the final race. Speaking of which, time for the points themselves. Point 1, Frog Prince Island. The first point is on an island, much like the original, with one key difference. There are now huts around the point to give more depth to the gameplay for the point, as well as better sniper coverage in general. This is also the only point on the map where you can directly snipe from one ship to another while being on a control point. All the other points separate the ships. Ships also swap the side they are on every point, so there is a moment where the ships are above one another after this point before aligning themselves for the next point. This is also the only point without teleporters to get back to the ship. You are expected to swim and use the teleporters on the next point instead. Point 2. Woodland Manor. The second point is a manor house with a wall running up to it. The point is located on the second floor, and the design of the manor is inspired from one of the houses in the desert area in Realm Royale. This house was to become the center point of a completely different Realm Royale inspired siege map, but over time the concept just fell through and the building ended up reused here. Point 3. Totally not 2 Fort. As the name of the point may already hint at it, this was heavily inspired by 2 Fort, even to the point that there is a passage inside the rock strip to the enemy base, connecting the two bases. The ships position themselves in such a way on this point that they basically fulfill the role of spawn rooms. Don't change class on the ship though, that won't work. After this point, I had some fun with the track placement for the ships. Both of the teams have the option to have their demo men to fight face to face for a moment, before the race continues. Point 4. Turbine. I literally did not know what to call this point, so I just called it Turbine. It is an interior point in the cavern, with multiple indoor buildings overlooking a point. Not much to write home about this one. The race. If after point 4 the game has not ended, the race commences. The team on the left do not have an edge. Their track winds down in a squiggly fashion, while the right ship has a more or less straight track down. Team who gets into the hangar first wins. Unlike the original map though, winning the game also stops the enemy ship from moving, so that situations where both teams can explode each other's ship does not occur. And that's the map in a nutshell. The reason why this came up but before Siege Ascension Peak is a simple one. I started having some serious optimization problems which kind of put me off of the map for a while, so I started tinkering around with a disassembled version of the 2009 Balloon Race V2B version of the map. Soon enough I had the game mode figured out and it was time to assemble the pieces I had already previously made for my own Balloon Race map. I had significant help from the Spud Lord, who helped me with the payloads and engineer buildings on them, in particular dispensers, again. Check out his prefabs for making those work, with the link in the description of this video. So here is some progress news on other maps. I've started and quickly abandoned the new original Siege map layout, Siege Portcullis. I may add the game mode in and leave it a block map like this. Comment if you want it, otherwise it's not gonna happen. Thematic elements from Siege Orchard are going to be used for a new map, alongside with some new elements as Siege Oaksford. A Realm-inspired graveyard map now has a name, Siege Mausoleum of Death. It's a little closer to the completion than it was last time. This is because I decided to scrap the original layout with huge number of diagonal buildings and brushes, and a lot of other tinier stuff is gonna be turned into models, and hopefully it will be easier on the engine. Siege Ascension's Peak, despite being sidelined due to my own optimization ineptitude, is very close to being done. I just have to figure out how to overcome a couple issues. There is also a new Balloon Race map in the works, Bialar Styx River. I don't have anything interesting to share about it, other than the new ship designs for that map. but it is gonna have 5 points, and if I'm able to wrangle Halloween skeletons or team associated monoculi into the map to fight the other team members who try to stay behind on the last point to snipe. That's about it for the other maps. Thanks for watching this video. If you are interested in my content, maps, long plays, paladins, whatever other, do join the Discord server, link in the description. If you like the video, click like. If this is also your first time here, you might want to subscribe too. If you would also like to support me monetarily, the way you can do that for now is to buy my music on Bandcamp. Thanks and have fun.